workforces who are cleaning, other people for dedicated medics, that kind of division of labor. So it's clear that people have organized themselves for the long haul, as you said. Another thing that's changed over the past few days is how entrenched the camps have become. And so what started off as a camp community in the center of the square has really sprawled to every space that isn't road or a marching space. And it seems like there's permanence. There is a sense of permanence here, so far as these camp communities are concerned.
But do you feel any real progress is being made? There have been concessions from the government today, but from everything we've seen, that wouldn't be enough to move the people home.
Right. I think what's remarkable about all of this is that despite how precious people are in terms of their political views, they've been convinced the past 2+ weeks on their central demand, which is Mubarak ousted. There hasn't been any variation whatsoever. People aren't really willing to back down from that demand.
And how long do you personally plan to stay there, Ahmed?
Well, I'm personally both protesting and working here. I think the greater number of people are really here for the long term. And again, you can see that in the kinds of spaces that they've built for themselves. Fortified tents, pathways. People don't intend to go home anytime soon. Another thing that's interesting about today is that I've talked to different families who are here for the first time. And so there's a high rate of turnover. You have the hardcore activists who are camping out yesterday, and you have other elements of society who are just showing up to show their support. And because it's such a big city, one gets the sense that even with a high rate of turnover, you can get a protest that will last for some time.
It's Ahmed Moore, who is a journalist, pro-democracy activist out there amongst the crowds in Liberation Square. Thank you for your time. That crowd really building today as we've been on air the last 2 or 3 hours. We've seen a big increase in the numbers, a steady stream of people coming in to Liberation Square. Amongst it as well, another one of our correspondents, I believe, who's on the line. What are you seeing there? How does it compare to what you've seen the last few days?
Well, it is pretty much the same situation, I have to say, the ebb and flow of the crowds coming in. I mean, people are willing to stand in line in the sunshine, the hot sunshine, for quite a long time to enter the square. Once you're in, it's just the atmosphere that we have seen really for more than a week now. Quite festive, lots of street vendors, banners, a new slogan every day. The slogan for today was, "If Mubarak is the Pharaoh, they're all Moses." Biblical references there to people who defied the leader in the past. And the other focus, which is tended to be a focus today, is the television building. People have been quite angry with state media coverage and the state television in particular, how they've been putting out news almost from a parallel universe, news which has not really paid heed to the reality of what's been happening on the streets and the reality of the demands that people are making. And I think that anyone attempting to demonstrate outside the television building today would really have their work cut out for them. We took a look around there just before, and the army is really out in force, probably about 20 armoured vehicles of different descriptions. Troops around the building, preventing people from even crossing the road. And also on the first floor of the television building, on the balcony there, mounted machine guns. So they're very much prepared. So I think that if any protesters were to attempt to get anywhere near there, I don't think that they would be allowed even about 150 television stations.
Despite all that military presence, our previous guest was talking about a feeling of permanency there, that this is perhaps moving into a new phase, a longer sit-in phase almost. Do you get that feeling too?
Definitely. I mean, I think people who are here now are acknowledging that they are here for the long haul. I mean, if you think about the situation a week or 10 days ago, everyone was demanding the immediate departure of President Mubarak. I mean, they still do. I'm looking at a piece of graffiti here as I talk to you, Kamal. It says, "Mubarak must leave authority now and go to the tomb." I mean, these slogans are still around, but I think these are just slogans. I think the people who are here realise that they need, this is no longer a sprint. This is a marathon. It's a real test of people's endurance. I mean, there are still lots of tents in the square. There are lots of people here today. But for the people who are really staying here day in and day out, it really is a test of their stamina.
I know you've probably got a fairly limited view of where you are. It is a big area and there are a lot of people. And however, have you seen any evidence of things moving beyond Tahrir Square? Places like, and we've been told here, the Interior Ministry, the Shura Council, the Parliament, Ramses Square, places like that. Is there any evidence that this has spread beyond Tahrir Square?
Well, I mean, I looked around the television building and the foreign ministry. I mean, these are really in lockdown, and the security forces, put in those reinforced concrete blocks, and tanks are in position, so there's no opportunity for anyone to get anywhere near those. Tahrir Square remains the focus, remains the epicenter, and people here really are safe because once you're inside the square, because they frisk people and they check so carefully people who are coming in. Once you're inside the square, once people are inside the square, they know that they're among like-minded people. The army is present on the exterior of the square, but I mean, the route that I took in today, because, as I said, just the crush of people in line to come in, we found like a back route where it was very easy and quick to come in, and we didn't see it. We didn't have to interface with the military at all coming in. We dealt only with the civilians, the people, the protectors who are police themselves, who are just checking that no weapons are being brought into the square and that no one who they suspect is a secret police or anyone is getting in. But as I said, people are still coming. You have to bear in mind that you may see a number of people in the square at any given time, and I would say that it's not as big as it has been in the past. However, at any given time, it's only a snapshot of that moment. You have to bear in mind that people come and go. So whereas there may be only like tens of thousands in one moment, during the course of the day, hundreds of thousands could be passing through, coming in for a few hours and then moving on. Yeah,
amazing scale of events still going on there in Cairo. Thank you for all that. Those thoughts from on the ground in Tahrir Square, one of our team on the ground. Half past the hour here on Al Jazeera, 12:30 GMT, which is 2:30 in the afternoon in Cairo. Live pictures from Liberation Square of a big crowd. It's gotten bigger and bigger over the course of this day, and as all our correspondents and guests have been telling us, that feeling of permanency now, perhaps, or at least that this is heading towards a new long-term phase. A lot of chanting going on there. We might try to find out, if we can, from that audio of what they were chanting there. But the numbers are big. Let me bring in Ibrahim Sharkeh, who's from the Brookings Centre here in Doha, watching all these pictures with us. It's about an hour and a half ago that you and I were talking, and I was asking you then if maybe the momentum was going down. It's only an hour and a half later, but the pictures tell a different story again. It ebbs and flows at these protests.
Yes, that's true. Great. This is great, really, because we have to acknowledge one thing now is that what is happening today is really impressive, because it is a strong response to the questions that were raised yesterday and today, that whether they are losing momentum or they're continuing on the same pace. And today, the protesters have shown that they are maintaining the same momentum. And that was not expected, actually. So there is still the same strength, the same momentum.
Strength and momentum, but do you think they're achieving something with this?
Yes, definitely. They are achieving by showing that they are able to sustain their work and to be in Tahrir Square all the time, and that they're not giving up, because if we look actually at revolutions around the world, there are always back and forth, and tides, high tides and low tides. So far, the Egyptian uprising has showed constantly high tides since it started. So this is very...
It's difficult to maintain, though.
It's very difficult, and that's why there were the questions yesterday that things might change for today. But even if they're able, and I agree with you that we're getting into a sitting-in phase now in Tahrir Square. Even if this is going to be the case that we're going to see in the coming days, the protesters are still challenged by thinking of new strategies and the new action that they will have to take in order to show that they are also able to not only on the defense side, but they can also escalate on their side. Because what is the status quo now is that the Mubarak's regime is it's in its position. We're not leaving. We're not changing. There are these small concessions that the regime is making every once in a while, but there are no substantial changes. And at the same time, it's the protesters who are sitting in the Tahrir, and they are expected to keep the momentum and to keep the Million March at least two times a week. So this is the situation, although it's very stressful to the regime, but at the same time it's comfortable because the regime is getting used to this. So the protesters again will be expected in the coming days to show some creativity, to show some new strategies, to show some actions that